Welcome to this floral design workshop. We're going to be discussing the basic elements that you'll use to create a beautiful arrangement. So let me introduce myself. My name is Cheryl and I've been a florist for over 30 years and I still love it. This should be a fun and easy way to learn key elements that you can use to express yourself by making beautiful floral arrangements. So we're going to take information that admittedly can be a little dry at times, more exciting by breaking them down into mini sessions. Each element can have several components, and I don't want to just throw a bunch of terms at you. I want to show you each element through actual design. So let's get started. So today's element is line, which is nothing more than a visual pathway. A static line can be vertical, could also be horizontal, as well as diagonal. And then there is a dynamic line, which is a curved line. Today we're going to do a vertical line arrangement. So supplies that you'll need to make today's arrangement. We'll start out with a container. I'm going to use something fairly shallow. I have some pre-soaked wet foam. I have a tendency to call it Oasis. It's a brand name, kind of like Kleenex is to tissues. Some of that 1/4 inch waterproof design tape, some good sharp snips, a knife. It doesn't have to be serrated to be able to cut your Oasis. Now for the sexy part. Gotta have some sticks. Man, chicks like sticks. Line flowers. Line flowers are these nice, tall, elegant. This is delphinium in this beautiful blue. I've got an alternative to show you with this iris if you can't get your hands on line flowers. Sometimes it can be a challenge. A focal flower. This is the thing that's going to draw your eye in. Love that. This is what is known as an accent flower. This is going to bring some more color and some texture into your arrangement. Filler flowers just to soften things, and then greens, enough to cover your mechanics. What do I mean by that? Mechanics is going to be your Oasis, your tape, maybe even your container. We're ready. So to measure your Oasis for your container, it's really very simple. All I'm going to do is take my dry Oasis, I'm going to lay it on top of my container, give it a little bit of a press. What that's going to do is leave that indentation right there, and that tells me how far I need to come in to cut. Let me show you very quickly. All we're going to do is line up with that indentation, pull it straight down. I've cut my Oasis. It's ready to soak. So once you've cut your Oasis or wet foam, Oasis is like Kleenex to tissues, you'll want to soak it. All we're going to do is lay it name brand up into your water. Let the weight of the Oasis do all of its work. You don't want to push your Oasis down into the water. That's going to create air pockets that are going to leave dry spots where your stems won't be able to drink. And as you can see, this just took seconds for it to absorb water, and it's just about ready. I could probably count down the seconds at this point. So I want to secure my Oasis to my container. And the reason I want to do that is if I want to maybe move this arrangement, I don't want it tipping out of the container. So all I'm going to use is my 1/4 inch design tape, and I'm not going to do it in the middle. I'm actually going to do it off sides. When you're doing a line arrangement, you have a tendency to do a lot right down the middle of your Oasis. And I don't want to block that with tape. So I'm going to bring it down, do the other side as well. And I can also do it a little off center this way. Because I'm old school, we're going to do it big. We're going to go all the way around, and that way I know that none of my tape is going to lift off. There we go. We get to put flowers in next. So before we actually put our first flower into our Oasis, I want to talk about placement. I don't want to necessarily put it directly in the center. I want as much room around here as possible for all of our focal flowers and our accent flowers. So what I'm actually going to do is bring it about halfway back from center. Right there is where I want to put my first flower. Okay, so before we actually make our first cut, what we need to do is take into account how large our container is. In this case, we want to make sure that we're balancing out the width of it. What I can simply do is measure with my hand and know that I need to do at least 1.5 times this. I can measure very easily with 1, 2, can easily cut right about here for my first measurement. Okay, remember that placement I was talking about was halfway back? Simply going to give it a good firm pressure in. The next one, we don't want it to be the same height. We want to bring it just a little below. Give that a snip. Clean off anything that might not be attractive and bring it right close, but not in front of. This next one is a beauty, and I really want to highlight that, so I'm going to bring it right in front, give it a little snip, clean off any little blooms, and right in front. This is probably about at that halfway mark now. This one broke. I was so sad. He was a straight one too. Okay, let's measure him. He's going to go off to the side like that. So as you can see, I've got graduating heights of my flower, and this is what's giving you that visual pathway. Now I have this one, he's not quite so pretty, he's got a couple of little broken spots, but I definitely want to have an odd number. The reason being is that when we have even numbers, it has a tendency to feel blocky, and in design, a lot of it is just about how things feel. Okay, we're going to put this back over here, and that gives that weight. And I certainly don't want anything to be at the same height. So there we go. Next thing I want to show you is what if you can't find these tall vertical flowers, how you can actually invent this pathway with something a little bit different. So let me change this container out and I'll be right back. So this is going to be that alternative that I was talking to you about. You could actually, I'm using these gorgeous iris, but you could use roses, you could use carnations. What I'm talking about is something that has a single head as opposed to something that's an elongated bloom. And I'm going to measure the same way. Remember, it was about here at my wrist, and then we'll measure down again, and that's going to give us that height right about here where we need to make our first cut. And then we'll place it, remember, about halfway back. The second bloom I'm going to use, I want it to be right about here. So I know I'll cut right in through here. So we're going to measure down a little bit down. You can see I'm graduating the heights, and I'm going to cut right, I guess it's maybe about 18 inches down. I want to save some of these little parts of my flower. And bring him right in front. Perfect. Actually, maybe give him a little spin. Get him right where I want him. And then seems to be just a little open up there. There we go. And then I'm going to bring another one right down here. This one's nice and open. It will have a lot of impact. So this guy, cut right in this area right there. Okay, you can see where this has created that lovely visual movement, and I can keep that going by using some of these greens that add some really nice interest. Ooh, love that. Bring that right over here. And you can see how that's just creating those lovely up and down pathways. Now the next step is going to be sticks. So this gives this lovely texture and movement, and it's going to create even more drama for us. If you can't find something like curly willow, you could use branches, you could use ting ting, let's say if it's a holiday. I even have these bamboo sticks that I robbed from an orchid arrangement. They're perfect too. But today we'll stick with a curly willow. Let me separate that. Sometimes just give a little shake it and they'll separate. Look at that fantastic guy. He is wonderful. Love it, love it, love it. This little curve right in through here, it might create an issue, so I'm going to just immediately cut that off. And yes, I want him right in between all of this. Don't hesitate to move your flowers a little bit. I love how that is now integrated into that. Beautiful. Next up is our focal flower. I really want to make sure I've got a good placement for that. And I have this beautiful rose lily. And what I think a lot of people make a mistake is thinking they have to use the entire flower. One, these are going to be distracting, so I'm going to pluck those off immediately. And I really want to use this bloom, so I'm going to cut it off right there at that V. Okay. And this is where I want to place him right in the front, so where your eye is going to catch this arrangement. And just gently give him a little press. There you go. And then you can certainly use this if you want. Just a little gentle pop him open a bit. And I think I'll just kind of use it off to the side there just for some added interest. There we go. All right, so next up is our accent flowers. And I just want to fill in through here a little bit, maybe even down here with these gorgeous yellow roses, these little spray roses. They're fabulous. So I'll start out with this one. Remember, you don't have to use everything. Like I could actually remove that to open up visually all those roses. And I want it here. Yes, that's exactly what I want right in there. Perfect. And then I think I had a nice little heavy one in through here. Oh, look at that. Pop off some of these leaves. I'm going to place that right in there. I want them just kind of peeking out a little bit. I still want to keep that line. I don't want to create a perpendicular line from this one. I'm going to cut right about there and place him in. Yeah. Now I'm not going to do it so it surrounds it. I think that's going to be a little bit too much, but I can place another one over here. And I don't want it to line up. I'd like it to be just a little bit off. And we're going to do some leaves and some greens up and through here next. Okay, this is where we want to start looking at our mechanics. We want to start covering all of this. So let me get some greens. This is what's known as lemon leaf or salal. There's so many different greens that you can use. Okay. And what we want to do is cover without them being too intrusive. I don't want it to stick out too far. You might have to pick it down. We're just going to go all the way around with this. Trying to cover up that tape, cover up my oasis, because you don't want any of your tools showing. Look at that, that's a yucky one. We're just gonna snip him right off. Actually, I think I'll use him towards the back. I'll show you that here. This turntable makes things so nice and easy. Just spin this around and see what you're doing. Okay, let me get some more. So I just grabbed a few more of my leaves. That was a pretty big hole right back here. Now sometimes you might have to just actually even split it like that to be able to create a little bit more coverage. Come around here. Now I do have some other greens in my arsenal. I wanted to get myself all nice and covered. All right, I've got one more little hole back here. And like I said, I do have some more greens that I'm going to play with in a minute. But first, before I get into completely finishing off that, let's use some of our filler flowers. I have some purple status that's going to bring in those colors right in through here really nicely. And then I have some solidago that's going to add some softness. Really like this too. So this is a little trick here. Like I said, you don't have to use all of your flower the way that you see it. In this case, you can give it a little cut and actually like pop that in right there. Give this little snip, pop him right over there. Love that. And then we'll do another one on this other side. Just like that. And then down here maybe. Let's get some of this purple back in here because I really like to bring all of my colors around. And if it ends up being too leggy, again, you can simply edit. I like the status, but sometimes it looks like a big foot. And I just don't like how that is, but there's not too many purple flowers that are out there. Like some more around down here. Sometimes also grouping your flowers will keep it from looking like a bizarre shape. Okay, I really like how that draped off on that side. That was nice. Let's see if I can't do something on this other side too. Yeah, good. Okay, now I've got a couple of accent greens that I think are going to be just beautiful for this. Honestly, I wish I knew the name of this. If somebody knows the name, you can leave me a comment. That'd be great. All right, now I don't want it to stick out too far, but it's such a pretty accent. This is a neat little trick too. I wanted a shorter leaf. Give it a snip and pull it right down the vein of your leaf. We're almost done. No, back over here. Okay, so I was looking at this and I really didn't like these wings that are right here. I don't like how distracting they are, so they're coming out. And let's make this interesting kind of little loop here with this green. Let's just pierce it right through. And that is going to add some neat little texture down here. I love this weight that's added right down there. Much better. Let's try this Italian ruscus and see what that does for us. I think I can bring some that's right in through here and be a little bit more vertical. I think maybe even all the way up. This one's nice and straight. Sometimes I find that if I want these that have a natural curvature, sometimes you have to wire them. So I'm going to pull this right back in through here, do a little manipulation. There you go. Yeah, I think I like that much better. And then I'll put another one right up here. Should be right like that. Snip off some of these tails. Close in, close, close, close. Yes, nice. All right. And then let's just take a little preview. Make sure that all of my little parts and pieces are hidden. Boop, there's a hole. Don't like that, not acceptable. All right, covered that. Tail piece right back here. Keep going around, 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 around. Oh, there's another one. Can easily take one of these that I pulled out. And looks like one last one down here. Yeah, and we should be done. All right, let's take a look. Okay, that's it. So you've just made your first line arrangement. Where might you use this? This would be perfect for a church altar or even an entryway, someplace that you don't want it to take up a whole lot of space, but you want that drama. So next week, it's going to be a horizontal line design. I hope I get to see you then.